Behind the glamorous and confident exterior, narcissists hide unexpected, shadowy corners of their psyche. They crave admiration but are perpetually insecure and vulnerable. They manipulate and control others but cannot face their own reality. Are you ready to step into the enigmatic psychological world of narcissists? Join us as we explore 10 special questions that can help you see through these individuals and develop strategies to protect yourself. These 10 seemingly simple questions serve as effective tools to identify narcissists. Let's unveil psychological secrets and explore their reactions when their vulnerabilities are touched. Question 1. What are some of your deepest wounds? When you ask a narcissist about their deepest wounds, instead of sharing, they might deny and appear baffled by the question. They often react with disdain or outright denial, claiming to be above it all, strong and invulnerable. They may shift blame to others or external circumstances, but will never admit to being a victim or having endured any harm. In truth, the reality is the opposite. Narcissists are often products of toxic, trauma-filled environments. They reject their painful pasts because facing their own weaknesses and taking responsibility for their actions is too overwhelming. Maintaining the image of being perfect or superior is their way of concealing deep-seated wounds and protecting their fragile egos. Some narcissists, however, weaponize their past traumas to manipulate others. They play the victim, recounting their misfortunes to garner sympathy and pity, yet they have no real intention of changing or seeking genuine help. Ultimately, the inability to acknowledge and confront emotional wounds is a hallmark trait of narcissists. They either deny them outright or exploit them to manipulate others, but never truly confront or heal from them. Question 2. Why do you leave me and then come back? Loving a narcissist feels like chasing the wind, a constant cycle of closeness and distance that leaves you lost in a maze of emotions. They can abruptly leave you, cold and heartless, only to return like a sudden storm, filled with sweet words and pleas for forgiveness. Don't waste your time trying to rationalize their behavior, because even they don't fully understand themselves. When confronted, they may shrug it off, accuse you of overreacting, or worse, blame you, claiming that you're not forgiving or loving enough. The harsh truth is that their return isn't born out of love or appreciation, but because they realize you still hold value to them. You're a puppet in their hands, a project they meticulously crafted to satisfy their inflated egos and selfish desires. They believe they have the right to control and pull the strings at will. To them, you're weak and dependent, clinging to their affection. They bestow love when they're amused and discard it mercilessly when they're bored. When new prey fails to satisfy them, or they see you happy, jealousy drives them to pull you back into their manipulative vortex. Thus, the cycle of love abandonment reconciliation continues, leaving you physically and emotionally drained. When faced with the question, "Why did you leave me and then come back?" they may fumble or find ways to blame you again. As confusing as it sounds, this is how a narcissistic mind operates. Question 3. What are you most ashamed of? At first glance, this question may seem simple, but upon deeper reflection, it touches the darkest corners of the human soul, especially for those who mask themselves in arrogance. Beneath their facade of pride and grandeur lies a deeply rooted, simmering shame, a rejection of their true selves that's difficult to accept. Narcissists often create a flawless exterior, as if every aspect of their lives is complete. In reality, this is merely a curtain hiding insecurities and internal cracks. They cannot reconcile with parts of themselves they perceive as weak or shameful. Unable to face this truth, they often react by belittling others or behaving cruelly to feel superior, even if only temporarily. This is not a sign of strength, but a reflection of the inner conflicts they relentlessly deny. There's a saying, "How you treat others reflects how you feel about yourself." For narcissists, their harshness and coldness toward others are not indicators of strength, but manifestations of unspoken pain. They torment themselves with guilt and obsessions over their perceived imperfections, burdens they never want revealed. Instead of addressing these vulnerabilities, they project their inner turmoil onto those around them. When asked, "What are you most ashamed of?" it's more than just a probing question. Like for narcissists, it feels like a dagger aimed at the most sensitive parts of their soul, the areas they've spent their lives burying. Their initial reaction is often avoidance, even anger, as if such truths are untouchable. Behind their arrogant demeanor, however, they carry an immense and overwhelming shame, perhaps more than anyone else. Question 4. What do you think others truly think of you? Behind the confident, sometimes arrogant facade, narcissists are extraordinarily sensitive to others' perceptions and comments. However, when faced with this question, they rarely offer a truthful answer. Instead, their responses may range from feigned indifference, as if they couldn't care less about others' opinions, to exaggerations of admiration they believe others have for them. In some cases, they might even position themselves as victims, claiming that everyone misunderstands or resents them. These reactions serve to mask their deep-rooted anxiety and insecurity. In reality, narcissists crave recognition and validation. They pay attention to every glance, every word, as these reflect the value they are desperately seeking. Yet this hypersensitivity makes them avoid genuine feedback, especially negative criticism. They fear that such remarks will expose their weaknesses and flaws, which they tirelessly attempt to conceal. They are terrified that facing the truth will shatter the image of themselves they've worked so hard to maintain. This fear traps them in a vicious cycle. They yearn for love and acceptance, but dread rejection. They seek validation, yet evade honest assessments. Consequently, they live in a hyper-defensive world, where every word and action is scrutinized through the lens of insecurity. This anxiety creates an internal conflict. On one hand, they long for connection, but on the other, they build walls to shield themselves from potential harm. The question, "What do you think others truly think of you?" discomforts them because it challenges the idealized image they've constructed. It forces them to confront the fact that their outer confidence is merely armor. Beneath it, they remain vulnerable and self-conscious, perpetually afraid they are not good enough in others' eyes. And that is a truth they neither want nor can admit. Question 5. Why is it so hard for you to admit when you're wrong? For a narcissist, this is not just a question. It's an insurmountable challenge and a direct confrontation with their greatest fear, imperfection. Everyone makes mistakes. It's an inherent part of being human. However, for narcissists, mistakes are far more significant. They represent cracks in the perfect image they've painstakingly crafted. As a result, instead of owning up and taking responsibility, they go to great lengths to deflect blame. They might accuse friends, colleagues, circumstances, or even forces entirely beyond their control. Anything is preferable to admitting that they were at fault. Within the psyche of a narcissist is a robust defensive barrier built to shield them from criticism or emotional injury. They guard this so fiercely that even they sometimes believe they are never wrong. To them, mistakes are not small failures to learn from, they are existential threats. Admitting to one would be akin to shedding their armor, exposing the vulnerabilities they strive to hide. This, to them, feels like a dangerous risk. Narcissists resist being seen as ordinary humans with natural flaws. In their minds, their worth lies not in who they are, but in how others perceive them. They crave admiration, recognition, even reverence. They want to be seen as perfect, flawless, above the typical rules of humanity. Thus, admitting a mistake, no matter how trivial, threatens to erode this idealized self indeed and destabilize the fragile confidence they cling to. Question 6. What makes you happy? When you ask a narcissist, what makes you happy, their genuine answer, if they were honest, might be, nothing at all. For them, happiness rarely comes from within. Instead, they chase fleeting pleasures, material possessions like a new car or luxury items, or external validation through admiration and praise. At first, they might claim that you are their happiness, the most important person in their life. But be cautious. This is often a statement made during the idealization phase, when they are working to win your trust and attention. Once they've achieved their goal, you may find that their actions no longer align with their words. True happiness stems from inner peace and a sense of fulfillment independent of external circumstances. This, however, is elusive for narcissists. Their internal emptiness drives them to seek happiness externally. Today, they may say you are their source of joy. Tomorrow, it might be someone else, an object, or a new compliment. They fail to appreciate genuine values or cultivate happiness from within. To them, everything is a means to temporarily fill their inner void, and once something no longer serves that purpose, they quickly shift their focus elsewhere. As such, their responses about happiness often change. They might say, "You make me happy," but their behavior tells a different story. They might neglect your emotional needs, fail to listen, or even make you feel lonely within the relationship. Their sweet words, though initially convincing, are often just a mask for their underlying self-centeredness. Narcissists aren't truly seeking happiness. They are seeking a fix for their emptiness. But this fix is never lasting, because they don't understand that true joy comes from nurturing it internally. As a result, they remain stuck in a relentless cycle, leaving behind broken relationships and the shattered hearts of those who once genuinely cared for them. Question 7. What is your greatest weakness? When asked about their greatest weakness, narcissists find themselves in a dilemma. They can't answer honestly because that would mean admitting they're not perfect. At the same time, they can't completely evade the question without raising doubts about the flawless image they strive to maintain. In such cases, they often resort to evasive answers, turning their weakness into a positive trait. For instance, they might claim they are too much of a perfectionist or work too hard, responses that sidestep the truth. In reality, their greatest weakness lies in their lack of self-awareness. They fail, or refuse, to recognize that their behavior often harms and alienates others. They don't see how arrogance, stubbornness, and lack of accountability not only hurt those around them, but also prevent them from growing and fostering meaningful relationships. If they are more introspective about it, this lack of self-awareness creates a vicious cycle. Unaware of their faults, they continue repeating harmful behaviors, breaking relationships, and isolating themselves. Unable to face reality, they sink deeper into self-deception, constructing an unrealistic image to shield their vulnerabilities. The question, "What is your greatest weakness?" thus becomes a mirror narcissists are unwilling to look into. They fear that answering truthfully would force them to confront an uncomfortable reality, that the perfection they take pride in is an illusion, and their lack of self-awareness is the barrier to living a more authentic and fulfilling life. Question 8. What kind of person do you admire? In their inner world, the concept of admiring someone else is almost non-existent. Narcissists see themselves as the center, the ideal model that everyone should emulate and revere. They don't admire, or don't want to admit, that admiring someone means recognizing someone else as superior in some way. When asked this question, they often stumble. To maintain their perfect image, they might fabricate a safe answer or mention famous figures in a generic, superficial manner. However, deep down, they rarely genuinely admire anyone. They struggle to see the real value in others because in their eyes, no one can measure up to them. Genuine respect for others is often replaced by complex emotions such as envy, resentment, or feigned indifference. even tormented by it. Narcissists construct an illusion of greatness, perfection, and invincibility in their minds. In this fantasy, they believe they possess unique qualities unmatched by anyone else. This illusion acts as armor, shielding them from feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. However, it also makes them cold and disconnected from genuine values and unable to appreciate the beauty in others. When narcissists claim to admire someone, their statement is often tinged with jealousy and disappointment. They envy successes they believe should have been theirs and resent not receiving the recognition they crave. They think they deserve more admiration, attention, and accolades than anyone else. When the world doesn't meet these expectations, they feel slighted, as if this lack of acknowledgement is a grave injustice. Ending point: acceptance. If you observe closely, narcissists rarely celebrate others' achievements with genuine joy or equanimity. Instead, they often express bitterness, sometimes through sarcastic remarks, belittling others, or attempting to overshadow someone else's accomplishments. They constantly compare themselves to others, not to learn but to justify why they deserve more admiration. To them, anyone who achieves recognition is simply lucky or undeserving, while they themselves are unfairly overlooked. This mindset traps them in a cycle of contradictory emotions. They crave admiration but can't sincerely appreciate or value others. Instead of finding inspiration in others' successes, they allow envy and anger to consume them. This not only deprives them of opportunities to grow, but also isolates them, locking them in a world filled with resentment and doubt. Question 9. What do you value in relationships? In reality, their relationships are often superficial, lacking depth and meaning. To narcissists, relationships are not about sharing emotions or building bonds. They are transactional, a means to extract benefits for themselves. From their perspective, the value of a relationship is measured by what others can offer them, be it attention, admiration, power, or resources. They rarely, if ever, consider the emotions or needs of the other person, focusing instead on exploiting what they perceive as advantageous. This makes it challenging for them to nurture meaningful connections, as their interest rarely extends beyond their own self-interest. A core obstacle to building meaningful relationships is their lack of empathy. They are unable or unwilling to put themselves in others' shoes to understand their thoughts and feelings. This leads to a pattern of ignoring or dismissing the needs and desires of those around them. While healthy relationships are built on mutual understanding, empathy, and sharing, narcissists concentrate solely on what they can receive, offering little in return. When asked, "What do you value in relationships?" their answers, if any, are often vague, generic, or even dishonest. They might say they value trust, love, or loyalty, but these words seldom ally with their actions. Deep down, they see relationships as tools to bolster their self-image, affirm their worth, or temporarily fill their inner void. As a result, their relationships tend to be unsustainable. Others often feel used or disrespected, leading to gradual emotional distance. Narcissists, rather than acknowledging and fixing the issues, typically blame others or external circumstances for the breakdown. They fail to understand that their selfishness and disregard for others' feelings are the root causes of the failure. Question 10. Why are you kind to strangers, but not to your loved ones? Have you ever wondered why a narcissist can seem so charming, even unbelievably kind when interacting with strangers? It's not genuine sincerity, but part of their sophisticated strategy. They wear a perfect mask, a carefully constructed facade designed to attract attention, build rapport, and draw potential prey into their orbit. This kindness doesn't stem from goodwill, but from their need to control and manipulate. If you dare to ask them about the stark difference in how they treat strangers versus loved ones, don't expect an honest answer. A narcissist will never admit their true motives. Instead, they may justify their actions with seemingly reasonable explanations, or even make you feel like you're misinterpreting the situation. This is a powerful setup for a positive relationship. The truth, however, is that they are deliberately crafting a false image to garner admiration and reverence. In the eyes of others, they want to appear as the epitome of perfection, intelligent, charismatic, and likable. However, this mask is not for everyone. It is reserved for those they perceive as offering something of value, admiration, compliments, or specific benefits. Narcissists often use their fabricated kindness as a tool to manipulate or lure others. They invest in this false kindness as a clever trap, and strangers unknowingly become pawns in their game. In contrast, the story changes entirely for those who attract in close relationships with them, family, close friends, or romantic partners. When the mask comes off, their true nature emerges: selfish, cruel, and at times frightening. Those close to them are no longer targets for seduction or exploitation. Instead, they become emotional dumping grounds for the narcissist's insecurities, anger, and frustrations. For people they see as already within their control, there's no longer any need to maintain the facade of kindness, which gives way to toxic and harmful behaviors. This contradiction in behavior often leaves others feeling confused, even doubting themselves. Narcissists can make you question whether you've done something wrong to no longer deserve the kindness they once showed you. But the truth is, this disparity has nothing to do with you. It's simply their nature. Kindness is a tool for serving their ego, and once it's no longer useful, it is discarded without hesitation. So when you see a narcissist behaving impeccably with strangers while being cold, indifferent, or toxic toward you, remember that you're witnessing two sides of the same person. One side is the polished mask, designed to impress and lure. The other side, raw and unfiltered, reveals their true self. Selfish, indifferent, and calculating. Those who no longer serve their purpose or provide value are quickly pushed out of the dazzling world they've constructed. We've now explored 10 questions that a narcissist would struggle to answer honestly. Hopefully, this deep dive into the workings of a narcissistic mind has helped you recognize the signs and protect yourself from toxic relationships. Always remember, you deserve to be loved and appreciated. Don't waste your time and energy on those who fail to value you. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to support our channel. See you in the next video.